Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Sweeney, and in today's video we'll be making this trendy corset top. I've been seeing this all over the internet and I was like, girl, it's about time. So I came out with a detailed tutorial on how you can do this step by step. So if you'd like to make this for yourself, keep watching. This video was inspired by Nava, and I'm going to link her video in the description box where you'll also be able to get the pattern to this top. So without much more talking, let's just head straight into the video. So for the first step, you're going to go ahead and download the pattern and you're going to print it out. So once you print out, this is what you're gonna have, and the next thing to do is cut out the pattern. You simply cut out the shape. For me, I was leaving out a bit of allowance at the sides because I felt like it was going to run a little bit small on me. The next thing is putting the pattern together. Yeah, so this is how it's supposed to be arranged. You have C will be close to B, then we have A2, A3, and this is basically the shape that our top is going to take up. So the next step will be joining the pieces together so that you can have a whole pattern, and I'm just going to use a clear tape to do this. So we're going to join A1 to A2. A1 is the strap, A2 is the upper bit where we're going to have the curve, and then A3 is the bottom bit of our front part. The next thing I'm going to do is join C to B so that I do not have to work with lots of pieces. I've seen other people using the pieces just as they are and then later connecting them, but I did not want to work with so many pieces. So this is how I joined my pieces. So now we're just going to go ahead and take our fabric. I got this fabric from a well-known thrift store in Kenya, which is known as Think Twice, and the price tag shows that it was 500 shillings, but I got these guys for 150 because I went when they were clearing the stock and I was so excited. So I'm just going to place the pattern on top of the material. So remember to fold your fabric into half so that when you open it up, you're going to have the whole front piece well put together. And do not do this as keto as I was doing it. Just get your pins, pin them on your material and cut it out smoothly. As you can see, guys, I ended up using oil, a bottle of lotion to do this, which I just don't like this, but it's cool. It did the job. I could not find my pins and that's why I ended up doing this. So just take your time and cut it out. You can leave a bit of extra fabric at the side because remember, it's better to have more fabric to work with than not have enough. It's easier to reduce than add more fabric. So I just went ahead, cut it all out. This is what we had for the front bit, and you see what I mean when I said that you need to fold your fabric. That's why we have ended up with one whole fabric instead of having two pieces and then having to join them together. I'm going to do the same thing for the other bit, which is for the sides. I'm going to fold the fabric into half so that I do not have to do this 2 times, but because this part is for each sides of the front bit, I hope I made sense there, I'm going to separate them later on, but I just thought that it would be easier to cut it out like this, but you can just decide to do the different halves separately instead of having to do what I did. And this is how you're going to connect your top to the front bit. You see where we have the curved area, you're just going to connect it to the other curve of the front bit. Yeah, and as you can see, my cutting was not as precise as it's supposed to be, but it's okay. We'll work on that. And this is how you're going to connect your top. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew along the curves. I use the straight stitch for this. Remember to back stitch so that your stitch does not unravel. As you can see, just look at how beautiful this stitch looks like. Yeah, so this is what it looks like from the inside. Once I was done connecting both the sides, this is what it looked like. And at this point I was like, oh my god, I cannot wait to get done with this project, because wow. Yeah, so this is what it was looking like at this point. So the next step, we're going to make a lining for our top, because it's just important. Okay, yeah, so to do this is going to be much easier because we already have a template of what our top is going to be like. So I just folded my fabric into half. This will just make it easier to cut, and I just went ahead and placed my inner material at the bottom of it. And again, make sure that you folded it into half so that when you open it up, it's going to be one whole fabric instead of having to work with pieces. You can work with pieces, but when you do this, it just makes it less, it just makes the sewing work lesser, because you will not have so much stitching to do later on. So I just went ahead and cut it out. And again, do not freehand it like me, just connect your fabric with pins for you to get an accurate cutting. But I'm the queen of eyeballing, so I was like, no, let me just do this. And this is how my inner lining turned out. I used a stretchy fabric because I felt like this will give me room for mistakes, because it can stretch, but you can use whatever fabric you have. Actually, I'd advise you to use the same material that you'll be using for your outer fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead, and the fabric was not enough for me to put an inner lining for my top, so I just went ahead and cut out the straps from my initial material, and I'm just going to go ahead and join them together. So I'm going to go ahead and sew them together, leaving the down bit open and the up bit where the straps will be meeting open. This will just give us an allowance to be able to turn our fabric to the right side. So remember, right side's kissing, you sew all the sides, leaving the bottom and the upper bit where the straps will be open. So I just went ahead. First of all, I attached my inner lining strap, and then now I went ahead to sew the two fabrics together. And as I said, sew it all round, leaving the bottom bit and the upper bit of the straps open so that you can be able to turn the right sides out later on. I really took my time on this, and later on I regretted using the stretch fabric because it really gave me a hard time, but we nailed it, so it's cool. But you guys should learn from my mistakes. And now, once I was done sewing, the next thing was turning the strap the right side out. Guys, this turned out to be a sport. I struggled, but later on we nailed it. And if you can get access to a loop turner, girl, just save yourself some time. I ended up using my crochet hook to do this. We ended up spoiling some of my stitches later on, but I was like, you know what, thank God we did it, and I did not repair it, so you guys will just ignore and assume that the holes were not there. After turning the strap, this is what you're going to have. And remember, we left the bottom bit open, so turning the rest of the fabric was not hard. And once you turn it, this is what you're going to have. And do not worry about the up part that is peeking, because we're just going to iron it down. So the next step is boning. You can use, I've seen people use zip ties for this, but for me, I used one of these pieces which I found from one of my corset tops that I no longer need and I no longer like, so I just removed them, and this is what I'm going to use. So you can bone with like 3, you can have one at the center and 2 at the side, but I just wanted to go with 2. I drew lines so that I can be able to sew where I'm going to put in my boning things. I don't know what to call them for now. Let me just call them zip ties. Just went ahead and sew along the lines where I had drawn with the chalk. This is how they turned out. As you can see, they're not very straight, but you know, they did the job, so it's okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and insert your zip tie from down there where you had left your space. I struggled a bit again because of my choice of the inner lining, but it's okay. We managed anyway. Once I was done, this is what it looked like. It just brought more structure to the top, hence corset top, because of that boning. Actually, that's the major step, because without the boning, then it's no longer a corset top. For the next step is working on the straps. Yeah, for me, I wanted mine to be more of a halter top and have that bottom bit at the neck together, so I just went ahead, made a hole and sewed on a button, and I just made it a more of, close it up there. But if you wanted to have longer straps, remember we had two A1 pieces, you can go ahead and cut out the other strap, sew them together, and just attach it to the back bit of your top. Initially, I decided to work with a zip, which was not so bad, but I changed my mind on this later on because it was not giving me that snug fit that I wanted it to have. Once I was done putting in the zip ties, I also went ahead and folded the bottom. As you can see, I just folded it inwards and then I sewed along all around to just close it up. And also, when you're cutting your zip ties, just ensure that you make them a little bit shorter so that they can leave a bit of space at the bottom for you to be able to sew. We had to make a bit of changes, and this is what I did. I went ahead and cut a long strip of fabric which I was going to use to make the loops. Once I just cut it out, I folded it twice, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sew all along to the bottom. Also, if I was to do this project again, what I'd do differently is that for the strap, I would use a more stretchy fabric, because using this fabric made it a little bit hard for me to tighten the strap at the back, but it's okay. The next step is we're going to cut out the zips that I had put earlier. I just went ahead and cut them out, and I'm just going to go and seal those edges by folding it twice and then just sewing along that place. So this is what it was looking like once I had gotten rid of the zip, and now we're going to attach our loops. So for our loops, I'm just going to go ahead and estimate how long I want them to be, and to do that I just put them on top of the top and just estimated how I'd want it to be. So there is no particular length, it just depends on how close or how far apart you want your loops to be. And once I had the estimate, I just went ahead and cut them out. So to cut it out, after cutting the first one, I just put it on top so that I can get the exact same measure for all the loops, and I'm going to cut out 8 pieces of the loops so that you can have 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. And then now this is how you're going to attach them. I'll just fold it that way, and once you fold it into that V shape, you're just going to go ahead, and this is how you're going to connect it. You just place it at the back and then you just sew along. Place it on the back and then you sew along, leaving a bit of spaces between the loops. So what I did here, I just went ahead and attached the loops using pins so that it can make it easier for me to sew. And you want to go over the loops as many times as possible so that they can be well attached, because you do not want to have a case of the loops falling off when you're trying to tie your strap. So just go ahead, front stitch, back stitch, front stitch, back stitch, until you feel like your stitch is secure enough. And once I was done sewing, this is what it's looking like. I also went ahead and attached the strap, and once I was done attaching it, this is what it looked like. I just put it, in like a zigzag motion. And once I was done, this right here is the top, and y'all, the streets are not even ready for me. I really like how this turned out. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. If you like the video, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and leave a comment on how you think I did with the top, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.